So one of the themes of your work is that organisms in general, and especially the ones you study, invest life's resources more in one thing or another thing depending on their circumstances. So if there's a lot of infection, they might do more protection against that. If there's more need for growth, they might grow. This is general principle of trade-offs, right?
Yeah, that's
Life
right.
history theory?
Yeah, it's just the idea that's familiar to all of us, really, that we can't do everything.
Not everybody understands that, but
Okay.
go ahead.
Some people can do everything. It's possible. But,
Seems like
we have a limited amount to invest. And when we talk about the sort of work that I'm talking about, what we often mean is that we have a limited amount of energy to invest.
Right.
And there are these basic tasks that every organism has to do.
Right.
And they involve protecting ourselves.
Protecting ourselves is one. What's another?
Right. Growing.
Growing.
Reproducing. Right?
Reproducing sounds like it could be very quick.
Very quick. Really?
Well, I guess actually you have to find a mate.
Yes.
And then you have to mate.
You have to compete for that mate.
And then you have to take care of the kids.
That's right.
So that's all reproduction, right?
That's all reproduction.
And any energy you put there doesn't get to go towards taking care of yourself.
That's right. That's the idea. And there have been many, many studies in many different organisms that suggest that investing a lot in reproduction actually compromises things like immune function.
No, a large project I've done with Dan Kruger over the years looks at differences in mortality rates for males and females, not just in humans but in other species. Where males compete for mates, their lives are shorter.
Yeah.
Presumably because they're investing more in reproductive competition at the expense of health. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, so that would go back to the sort of classical idea that what limits females' evolutionary fitness, right? So this is not about morally good or bad or anything like that, but simply, how many offspring that she's going to be able to leave behind are energetic resources, like how accessible is food.
Getting food and taking care of your kids.
That's right, but males are limited by access to females. There are obviously exceptions to this, and it gets really complicated, but that's a general idea that might help us understand why men in every society that I know of live shorter lives than women, and that tends to be true for our non-human primate cousins too.
I wonder how big the difference is in other species. In humans, in modern societies, for every 100 women who die at age 20, 300 men die, which is pretty surprising.
Yeah.
I bet it's that high possibly for your baboons.
Yeah, there's certainly a big age difference. It's in expected lifespan difference in the baboons. So a female baboon in Kenya in our population who lives a good long life will live into her 20s. We see very, very few males who make it to that kind of age. And this is a very competitive species. Males are actually twice as big as females in baboons, and we think part of that is because what determines whether or not they get to have kids or not is their ability to compete against one another.
Yeah. So where we started off, though, was investing more in protecting against infection.
Yes, that's
Can you go back to a little bit to that?
Yeah.
What are the trade-offs for having a bigger immune response versus a smaller immune response?
Right. So having a bigger immune response could mean that you're doing a better job protecting yourself against pathogens. But, the cost of immunity is always that, immune cells are there to destroy things.
It destroys your body.
Right. So you can have a lot of investment in immune function that also affects how your own tissues are doing. So that's a cost even beyond, the energy that went into, generating a strong immune defense. Then you're also having to, do repair or not, as the case may be. So you put your resources into one box, it's going to tend to take it out of another.
Good general principle everybody should know about.
Yeah.
Maybe we can all allocate our energies day to day, recognizing that we can't really do it all.
Right. Yes, that's right.